Welcome back everyone to another South Bay Rebel video. Today we're looking at a Lego Star Wars set in the BARC Speeder Escape. This is set number 75378, 221 pieces. Not a massive set here, but packs a punch nonetheless. We'll start off with the box art. Looking pretty good on the front there. You've got the BARC Speeder in the air, a couple clone troopers down below from the 501st, and the minifigures represented in the bottom right corner. The back of the box looks good as well. You've got the BARC Speeder kind of on that landing pad there, the infamous lamppost, of course, and on the side you've got the one-to-one reference being Caloran Beck himself, and looking pretty good there. This is, of course, the scene from The Mandalorian where Grogu is having a flashback, remembering how he escaped the Jedi Temple during Order 66, and Caloran Beck kind of comes to the rescue, helps him get out of there safely. So, pretty cool. I would recommend going back and checking that out if you haven't watched it. This is a pretty good representation of that scene, and hard to find many flaws with this set. I think it's a pretty near perfect set. So diving into it, we've got the finished product here. You've got Caloran Beck, he's dual wielding lightsabers just like in that scene of The Mandalorian. And then you've got the Grogu with the pram in the BARC Speeder, as well as a couple 501st troopers, and of course that lamppost. Removing Caloran Beck from the equation here, we'll take a look at the BARC Speeder. It's built in a way where the pram for Grogu almost looks like it's part of it, but it does come out as well, as I'll show in just a second here, and I think it's a pretty good representation from just about every angle of that BARC Speeder in that scene. I will say that this also seems like a pretty sturdy build as far as playability goes, with maybe exception to a couple pieces right here in that scoop piece behind where Grogu's pram sits. They're each held on with just a single stud, and it seemed like it was a little flimsy, but I actually didn't have any issues with them falling off. I just thought it was interesting that it was just one stud that held each of those in place. And as mentioned before, Grogu's pram does come out and can be removed. You can set it off to the side, and still, even with the pram out of there, this looks so much like the real thing in that scene. I couldn't be more impressed with how this came out. I like that Grogu's pram can be removed, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well. But looking at the speeder itself without the pram still looks good from a multitude of angles. I really like the white and dark red. It's very reminiscent and nostalgic to a lot of the early Clone Wars and prequel sets of the Lego Star Wars line. Really reminds me of like the gunship and even the newer Obi-Wan's starfighter. So pretty cool there that they've incorporated those colors and tied it in that way. Here's a clear piece that you can attach to the pram once you've got Grogu removed from the speeder. It just goes onto the bottom, as you can see there, and it gives the illusion that the pram is kind of hovering, just like it would in the show as you've seen on screen. One thing to note here about that feature is there's only one place to really install that, and it's towards the back of the pram, and because it's kind of elongated in the front, that does make it prone to tipping forwards, but it doesn't take too much to get it to stand upright on its own. And then that can just pop off and you can put Grogu's pram right back into the speeder. And circling back to the speeder now, it does have a couple front-mounted stud shooters. They don't look too out of place, but they're a little bulky and stick out. And then there's also some clear pieces on the bottom of this to kind of give it that hover effect. No actual landing gear though. So all in all, pretty nice design here, and there it is with Caloran Beck in the pilot's seat, and it just is a nice overall set. You see the connection there with the sidecar and main speeder being those pieces. It's pretty rigid and doesn't seem like it's gonna fall apart. And moving on now to the minifigures, there you see them in all their glory with that lamp post. It was kind of just a throw-in, but it technically is in that scene if you look hard enough. I guess they just wanted to get the piece count up a little bit. Those are just a couple standard 501st Troopers. Nothing new, still have helmet holes. We'll cover those in a few. I want to focus on Kelleran Beck though. He's a brand new figure. I really like the print on these Jedi robes, and the cape is a nice soft goods piece as well. He only has the one face print, unfortunately, but it's enough. He looks pretty good and even has back printing. So an all-around nice figure, and I like that he comes with 2 lightsabers. Here's a look at one of those 501st Troopers. They've got the helmet holes as stated, and nothing really to write home about here. Nice figure overall, with exception to those helmet holes, depending on your stance on it. And then you've got Grogu. Grogu's not any different from any of the previous Grogu figures we've seen, and he has a nice pram here. I like that they've thrown in that splash of dark red though, so that it fits in and matches with the rest of the BARC speeder. And here's a look at Grogu outside of his pram, just in case you wanted to see what he looked like. As far as I know, this is just the standard Grogu and isn't anything new. All in all, I really appreciate this set and what it represents. I think it's a great screen accurate take on the BARC speeder from The Mandalorian, and I think they nailed it on this. The piece count is a little low considering the high price tag of $30, but all in all, great set. It was one of my most hyped and anticipated sets to release on May 4th, so I am super glad to see that it did not disappoint. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think of this set down in the comments. If you are not subscribed already, be sure to hit that button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. And until the next time, I will catch you on the flip side.